the occult. He's going to be dealing with dark, secret things that God warned us about. He's going to be dealing with things that you see in everyday life, like nonchalant. I tell a lot of people all the time that if you want to live around here in the United States without having any paganism around you, then you need to go live somewhere else because it's everywhere. You can't drive a car without having some kind of occultic symbol on your car. You can't wear any clothing sometimes without having occult symbols on it. Even the food that we eat, okay? I find it real funny that a lot of people don't want to celebrate Christmas because of the occult roots with it, but they're willing to go and eat at a Chinese restaurant, okay? With Buddha all over the place and holding big oranges with his big old belly, okay? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I digress. Why are we talking about this? A lot of Christians don't like talking about this. They're either scared of it or they don't think it's something that they need to know or understand. But the Bible says that my children perish for lack of knowledge. I know that's a verse that we throw around all the time, and some people know what it means. Some people kind of confused on what it means. It means exactly that. Because you don't know, something that you didn't know was out there got a hold of you. And we're dealing with this with kids growing up, being around all these different movies, music, all this media, okay? And there's a reason behind all of it. We can say that it's nothing, and we can say that it's just, the mainstream stuff, but to really know what's the deal with it, you got to get to its origin. So, very first verse, Deuteronomy 18, 9 to 12. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or daughter pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of the times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consultant with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. Because of these abominations, the Lord thy God drive them out from thee. It's very important to understand that any civilization that starts allowing occultic beliefs in their mainstream ideals of style, in the end, they all end up destroyed. The Greeks, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, the Romans, okay? I don't remember when the last time I saw a Roman person, okay? Where are the Aztec people? I have no idea, okay? Witches, the iconic green symbol of witchcraft, witches, and any occult practitioners for the longest time. Okay? Everybody know who this movie is? Wizard of Oz. Yeah, somewhere over the rainbow. We went to the west, right?
Wow.
But yeah, it's a movie I grew up seeing. Those flying monkeys were like the most scariest thing that I've ever seen in my 8-year-old life. It kept me up at night. Them little suckers just under my bed or in the toilet when I'm using it or something. Grabbing my ankles or something, It was like not a scary movie, right? But it had so much scary stuff in it. Like, oh my God, you show these to little kids? And I'm not saying you can't watch the movie. I'm not saying you can't do that, okay? What I'm saying is that there's a reason these things are pushed in your face, okay? I'll say one thing, that if it scares you, if it fills you with fear, the Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear. If it fills you with fear, why are you watching it? That's something I had to learn long time ago. When I was in the bed, and everybody knows this, when you're laying in the bed and you feeling all scared, you pull the covers up and your feet pop out from the bottom, then you're like trying to fix the blanket to cover your feet up and all that. Yeah, you all know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Movies, cartoons, and music portrays witches as ugly old hags or sexy warlocks. Leviticus 19:31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Why is it not right for a Christian kid to be getting all into Harry Potter? Why is it not right for them to get into all this? What are some of the other little witchcraft things are going on, Anyways, whatever it is, things that blatantly push witchcraft, okay? And then some things that don't blatantly push it, all right? A lot of the Star Wars people, okay? Star Wars, the Force, using unseen things, pushing
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. And again,
E.T.
I'm not saying,
E.T.
Right. I'm not saying don't watch it, but I'm saying understand where it's coming from. Because these things, believe it or not, while you see them and they seem like it's fake and not real, there's something evil behind it. Okay? A lot of people are like, there is no witches. There's no such thing as the Force. There's no such thing as nothing like that. Okay, you may not believe that, but somebody, especially in Akron, Ohio, really does. Okay? They believe in it hard enough to sacrifice an animal to it. They believe in it hard enough to sacrifice a human being, sometimes children, to it. Okay? But as with everything, to truly know it in its purest form, you must know its origin. Genesis 3:2-4. We always go to Genesis, don't we? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden. You must not touch it or you will die. You will certainly not die, the serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. This is one of the first places where you see somebody using nature to rebel against God. What is the reason people like witchcraft, turn to the occult? Because they want to become God in a sense, or have a godlike power, or godlike wisdom, and unknown knowledge to everybody, okay? Anytime you talk to a witch, they could say they're a white witch. That, I don't cast spells on people to turn into frogs. I just want to know the secret hidden things that are in the spirit realm. They never talk about anything violent or gory. They always talk about knowing secret hidden truths and wisdom and all whatnot. But that's where it started, right? To want to be like God and to have spiritual powers and turning against Him to get those. All right, Webster's definition of witchcraft: to use sorcery or magic, communication with the devil or familiar, meaning familiar spirits. Familiar spirits means, okay, everybody here has spirits that's around them. They have followed you throughout your entire life, okay? Some of y'all had a deliverance and they were cast out of you. When you die, these spirits are still around. They know you. They've seen you in your weakest form when you sin and all that. And when somebody goes to a seance to talk to old Uncle Jeff, okay, and they want to talk to a dead relative, you're not talking to the relative. You're talking to the spirit that knew that person, okay? That's why they can talk, look, and act like that. That's biblical. And I'm not going to do it here because it gets into something else that I want to do in the next installment. Third, an irresistible influence or fascination. If something can captivate your mind so much that it can guide your very lifestyle and your ambitions, that's considered in the dictionary like witchcraft, because it can completely hypnotize you and take your focus off who you are and make you somebody else. Okay? At its core, witchcraft is a rebellious turn against God to receive enlightenment or knowledge of power. 1 Samuel 15:23, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king. Okay? This is, God doesn't like it, as y'all can see. Okay? He wants you to stay away from it. Why? Because what we just read in Genesis. Okay? Eve didn't listen to God. She didn't listen when he said, this thing will kill you. Stay away from it. Saying the same thing with witchcraft. Some of the earliest records of witchcraft are the Sumerian stories and Babylonian writings. These stories were handed down pre-flood from the giants. Again, giants keep on popping up. And many from fallen angels themselves. Since angels are not all powerful like our God, they explain to mankind how to use God's creation to achieve wisdom and summon the Nephilim. Especially in German witchcraft and Aztec witchcraft, they all talk about summoning spirits that were here since the beginning. In a lot of these old cultures, they talk about these spirits were here before a great flood. And these people were nowhere around when they were writing the Bible. How did they know there was a flood? You know what I'm saying? The hunger for knowledge and power and unknown wisdom formed witchcraft to be its own religion. That means that this practice guided morals, beliefs, and ambitions. A lot of times, what drives these people to do it, right, is the love for money. I tell you right now, a lot of celebrities are into witchcraft. A lot of them. Okay, Jennifer Lopez herself, after every album that she gets done doing, she has a diviner come and bless her records so that it'll make money. Nobody really says anything about it because in the Latin community, everybody uses witches. Everybody goes to a witch and say, hey, can you bless my relationship? Can you bless my job? This and this, whatever other stupid thing they got doing. Isaiah 47, 8 to 14. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. This is specifically speaking to a witch. Okay? For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, that thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. A lot of these witches, they believe in the power of self. What can I do for myself? What can I do to change the course of my being? Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. If anybody ever sees a testimony of an ex-witch, that's exactly what they say. Many times in their life, the devil may give them stuff, but many times it's all gone. Okay? Why? Because of this promise that God is doing right here. You seek after these spirits, okay? Don't come to me. Okay? Stand now with thine enchantments, and with thy multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, be thou shalt be able to profit. If so, be thou able to prevail. This is a really hard thing to say, but basically what it's saying is you trusted on your witchcraft, on your gods, on your belief this entire time. When you were young up to now. Don't even think about coming to me. Okay? Don't even think about asking me to help you in this little one time of need when I know you're going to go right back to those old gods. Thou art wearied with the multitude of thy counsels. That means you going all over the place looking for truth and not coming to where it's from. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly progress, whatever that word is, stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm it, nor a fire to sit before it. That's saying, like I told you before, God's saying, don't come to me, okay? You've been trying your hardest to learn all these different arts and all that stuff. Why even bother at this point? Because you really messed it up, not just for yourself, but for other people. A lot of witches don't understand this. When you have constant demons around you, they're around the people that you're around. Okay? After the flood, God later separated the people and languages, causing the birth of nations and the cultures. With this came the many, many variations of occultic religions, and the examples are Egyptian magic, Hebrew magic, Babylonian rituals, indigenous shamanism, Caribbean witchcraft, Eastern paganism, Anglo-pagan religions. Witchcraft or the occult has many doctrines or denominations, and each one is just as abominable as the last. I was speaking to a sister about this not too long ago. There are counselors and investigators that deal with ritual crimes. This person cannot go before a judge and say that he witnessed a voodoo ritual and say, oh, I witnessed a satanic ritual. The judge isn't going to take it because voodoo is an established religion. Satanism is an established religion. So if you're saying I saw a satanic ritual and there are people who do voodoo, the case is going to be thrown out, and it happens all the time. All right, Egyptian magic. This magic was very scientific in that it was neatly practiced and studied. Also used to cure many of life's troubles. This belief was one of the earliest recordings of use of potions, amulets, and charged or blessed items. This is just an example of different rituals. All these things here you've seen in your day-to-day life. All of it. Okay, there's Jay-Z with his hat, Rockefeller. Okay, changing the emblem to look just like the Eye of Horus. Okay, you see, especially him, doing a lot of the. Jay-Z is a 5%. We're going to have a time, a Bible study, where we talk about what a 5%er is. Okay, but basically, to him, he's God. So he can choose whatever path to follow. This here's Nas and a member of African Bambaataa. There's a rap group, and they just fascinated with Egyptian magic and all that kind of stuff. Egyptian magic was mainly explaining life, death, eternity, and reincarnation, and how one could understand all things through the practice of magic. And it was this flame, we just disappointed. Exodus 7:22, but the Egyptian magicians did the same things by their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart became hard. He would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Everybody knows about in Exodus with Moses. Y'all seen the movie with the DreamWorks movie with Moses, the Prince of Egypt? I know everybody sees it, right? Okay, yeah. Maybe one day we'll have that to show y'all. Okay, it's an old movie or something. Okay, all the kids seen it in school. Okay, well apparently not all. Anyways, I digress. The Egyptian Trinity: Osiris the father, Isis the mother, and Horus the child. Witchcraft even tries to copy the story of the birth of Christ. Okay, only in this version, the son kills the dad in order to marry the mom. Mixing of doctrines is common. Egyptian magic has spun off into voodoo, hoodoo, and kandabli, even has the same rituals and symbols and gods. Babylonian rituals have also spun off and can be found in not only occult, but real established religions like Catholicism. 1 John 5:21, little children, keep yourselves from idols. Amen. That's all that verse says. Okay? Why is the Pope, supposedly the most holiest man in the world, wearing this Babylonian fish hat in honor of Dagon? Why? That's what they used to do. Those old Babylonian priests, to worship that god, they would get one of those big old catfishes out the Nile, out of all these huge rivers. They would slit the fish's throat and put that thing on like a hat. And that's where this originates from, that hat that the Pope wears. You also see a lot of stuff like neo-paganism, neo-Wiccan, neo-Druids, okay? This is basically taking an old belief and switching it up, okay? Indigenous religions, like the Mexica or Aztecs, also share many symbols and rituals. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit. Technically, Mexicans didn't originate from Aztecs. They originate from indigenous tribes called the Mexica. The Mexica were just like the Aztecs and did all the same things. They built pyramids just like the Egyptians, and they had tombs that were cursed and blessed or whatever, just like the Egyptians. 2 Kings, he made his son pass through the fire, practice witchcraft, and use divination, and dealt with mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. I was talking to somebody recently, and I was saying exactly what I'm telling you guys. Where are the Mexica? Where are the Aztecs, the Mayans? Okay? Everybody ever seen that little Mayan emblem, the little funny looking dude with the big ears? Anybody seen that? Yeah. Where are those people? The people who made that. Okay? They're not here anymore. You cannot find a purebred Aztec, Mayan, Mexica person. They're all mixed with something else. They were enslaved by another race. Okay? They were wiped off by another race. Alright? Let's not even get into how bad the lineage and how many demons hide in generations. Okay? In Aztec religions, nature is even more prevalent. Decapitation or some other form of sacrifice was used to bring good harvest, ward off evil spirits, heal illnesses, and summon animal spirits to use their strength in battle. You see in this picture, there's a recreation of one of their gods. I can't remember what his name is. Hard to pronounce the names. And then on this other one, it looks like it was drawn recently, but it's another recreation. That's basically a device that was used to use a conveyor belt to transport heads around in a specific room. So they would build this contraption, and it would just spin the heads around and revolve them all around while they did their rituals, because supposedly their head contained the knowledge, the wisdom, and who the person was. The heart contained the strength, and the strength. So if they would consume the heart, they consumed the person's strength. All right? If they had the heads revolving around them, they would have the wisdom revolving around them. I know it's gory and it's out there, but this is where it originated from. Okay? And this doctrine of witchcraft is one of the many places when you start to hear of shapeshifters or the Nawali, sorcerers and shamans that have the power to transform into beasts. Okay? This is where the werewolf comes from. Okay? Proverbs 30:14. There is a kind of man whose teeth are like swords and his jaw teeth like knives, to devour the afflicted from the earth and the needy from among men. That right there is basically describing a man with beast characteristics. Okay? A lot of times this is also used to explain like vicious people, conniving people. Okay? But I've seen many other people back in those days, old rabbis who helped translate the Bible, translated the same way, as some kind of shapeshifter. Alright? Daniel 4:31-33. While the words were still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and you shall be made to eat grass like an oxen, and 7 periods of time shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will. Immediately the word was fulfilled against Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from among men and ate grass like an ox. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair grew as long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like bird's claws. That's explaining a transformation of a human being. A lot of people say that, no, it just made him lose his mind. He went into the wilderness, started eating this stuff. If you go into the original Greek, original Hebrew, okay, it's explaining this man growing hair all over his body and the transformation of it, all right? I know that sounds far-fetched in this day and age. I'm just telling you what it says, okay? Now, old country witchcraft, or brujeria, that's how we call it in Mexico, has also bled into the modern day in a very disturbing way. Okay, let me explain this. A lot of the old religions, from the Mexica and Aztec days, they're coming back with a vengeance. And I know everybody's heard about the cartel members and all this drug trafficking going on in Mexico. In 1 year, more than like 3,000 people were murdered. You know, the death toll in Mexico is like past the 10,000s. Okay, people are dying all the time. I was talking to a buddy of mine today. He was saying that people can't go out past a certain time. I was like, why? Is there a curfew in their city? Like, no. Bullets start flying after a certain time. Now, these cartel members, this is their religion, okay? Just like Catholics have the patron saint of Thomas or Patrick or whatever, these guys have patron saints of death. The guy with the hair, with the long hair he's holding is Santa Muerte, okay? The death bride. They believe that if they give offerings to it, they give money, cigars, alcohol, drugs, all this kind of stuff, they're going to bless their drug trade and kill their enemies. Okay. They also have another god, another saint by the name of Jesus Malverde. Okay, this guy was an old-time drug trafficker, and he was like a Robin Hood, considered like a Robin Hood. He would sell drugs, but then he would like rob rich people, give it to the poor, and all this kind of communist crap. But one day the federales got a hold of him and they hung him. So now everybody got it in their head to use this guy, Jesus Malverde, as a saint. And so now he's the patron saint of cartel members. Okay? So now he blesses your trade and he blesses your drugs, and they got a little statue of him. They take it in, Jesus, please just bless this weed, bless it so it can nourish people's addictions.
Oh, yeah.
Leave it up to my people to come up with the most stupidest things in the world.
No.
But we'll go to other places, okay? The occult beliefs on today's world are more notably the Celtics and the Druids. These are Anglo forms of witchcraft and occultic religions, meaning European, okay? Mostly white people, all right? These beliefs are heavily influenced by nature and being one with the world or creation. This is the kind of stuff, the Druids, anybody heard of them? Okay. These guys, they brought Halloween to what it is. And then the Catholic Church did the rest. Okay? All Hallows Eve, the night of Samhain, all right, there was a time where these guys were like in the villages over there in Glasgow and in the Welsh country. All right, they were basically like a little mafia. They would run around, get offerings from different people, and on this specific day, they believed that the veil between the spirit world and the physical world was so thin that you could do a ritual and bring back spirits. Okay, so they would go to different houses, and then they would tell people to give them, that's where the tricks and the treats came from. You give us something, or we'll give you something. All right, you give us your daughter, or you give us some other thing that you really care for. They mainly wanted little kids. All right, and then we won't send curses against you, or we won't come back later and kill all of you guys. All right, already extortion. This is the Druid calendar. Okay, you see winter solstice, Yule up top. Anybody ever heard Yule around Christmas? That's where it comes from. Those old days. This is describing a particular season and time of year when they can do certain rituals in bulk. Okay, that was another day. That was February 2nd. That's when it started. Oscara. That was spring equinox. All this kind of stuff. Okay. Beltane. Over here, I was reading recently that they actually have a Beltane festival. Hundreds of people get together, light these crosses, light these pentagrams, these Celtic little star things that we'll talk about later. They light them on fire. Everybody gets all butt naked. They paint their body all red, run around screaming and doing all this kind of weird rituals, okay? If anybody drives by them, they'll think that the world is going to just collapse. Because I've seen videos of it. You can look it up. These dudes are just running around, butt naked, red, and it seems like demons just came out of nowhere. Okay? Samhain, Hallows Eve, that's November, October 31st. Malbon, and then all these other Beltane, all this stuff. That's how they used to study their calendar. A lot of people say, well, if people are doing sacrifices on Halloween, why isn't there more reports of people missing? Well, according to the calendar, they don't kidnap people on Halloween. They kidnap them 6 weeks or a month prior. They keep them, they scare them, they give them all kind of experimental drugs, and then, they do what they do with them. We'll talk more about that later. Druids and Celts influence a lot of American culture because of the flood of immigrants from Europe who brought their beliefs with them, okay? Just like Mexicans, we brought over our culture, okay? African people way back then in the slave trade, they brought over a lot of their culture. These European people brought their culture, their beliefs, the way they do things. Back at that time, the United States was not a place that you would recognize today. There were people, now when you think about ghettos and hoods and all that kind of stuff, you think about minority people like blacks or Mexicans, right? Back then, the ghettos and the hoods, it was all white folks. Irish people, Scottish people, British people, all right? People from Germany, from Russia, all right? They had projects. These were the original gangsters and thugs. That's where original gangs came from New York, from Boston, from Chicago, all right? So all this stuff that you see in the day, this isn't just coming from these certain minorities. It's just a phenomenon that you see when you get an oppressed people in a position where they can't help themselves and they need everybody else to help them. But we'll go over the welfare state later. Zechariah 10:2. For the teraphim speak iniquity, and the diviners see lying visions and tell false dreams. They comfort in vain, therefore the people wander like sheep. They are afflicted because there is no shepherd. You see every time somebody is into witchcraft and into all this different stuff, they're like the most chaotic people in the world. Okay, they've been to like 3 or 4 different marriages. Okay, their kids are completely just have no sense of what's right or wrong. Okay, these people can't sleep at night. If you worship demons all during the day, how you gonna get to sleep? Okay, how you gonna even be able to close your eyes during the day if you're dealing with Baphomet and all these different kind of beings from other dimensions and all this kind of stuff? All right, Ezekiel 13:18. And say, thus says the Lord God, woe to the women who sew magic bands on all wrists and make veils for the heads of persons of every stature to hunt down lives. Will you hunt down the lives of my people but preserve the lives of others for yourselves? This is God actually speaking through a prophet to different people who are in the occult. Okay? Calling them out on the stuff that they do. Now, right. This is I made this one short because I wanted to keep it in neat little installments. So it's almost over. All right. So it's not too much craziness because, you know. Anyways, what we covered is only scratching the surface. When it comes to the occult, New Age doctrine, alchemy, and Satanism are branches of this rebellion against God. So more will be covered. Okay. We're gonna talk about in this series New Age doctrine, yoga, Reiki, Buddhism. Okay? Wicca. We're going to be dealing with all these different things that we may have heard. Like, oh, I got a friend who she's a Wiccan or a Witchin. You know, some people pronounce it differently. Oh, I went to a Wiccan wedding once. I'm not saying I did. I'm saying I talked to people who said that. Okay? We're going to talk about Satanism, what that really is. All right? And we're also going to talk about alchemy. Alchemy is going to be a big one. Alchemy is dealing with drugs. Weed, cocaine, crack, heroin, LSD, acid, dealing with all these drugs and how originally nobody thinks that drugs is in the Bible. So everybody's like, well, we can smoke weed because, you know, they don't talk about weed in the Bible. Right. They say everything's natural, everything is from the earth, and peace, love, and whatever, you know.
Pharmakia.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical.
Pharmakia. Right. And, but the thing is, you got to remember this. The fruit that Eve ate was also natural. And it condemned every single last one of us.
Yes.
Everything that is going on with your life, okay, the situations you're in right now, it's all because she tried something natural from the ground. So you can't use that excuse anymore. I'm not saying that you guys do. I'm saying for anybody here. Okay? Right. Maybe thinking about it, just get that out of your head and go read the Bible or get a life or something. But yeah, alchemy. Back in the day, right? They used to use drugs, right? They used to use drugs to bring forth spirits. A lot of times these, you know, you ever heard of potions, right? That's what drugs were back then. They would get certain plants, certain seeds, mix them together, ferment them, do all this kind of different stuff, and it would open your mind, the left part of your brain, to receive